Roguelikes have always been a popular genre because of their difficulty and addictive nature. Rogue Legacy brings the rogue elements of a roguelike back to their roots with modern twists that kept me intrigued. This is my review of Rogue Legacy. The story in Rogue Legacy is nothing special. You are the descendant of a dead king who has been sent on a quest to avenge him. You play as all of the king's ancestors who try to avenge their previous family members. The story is pretty mediocre, to be honest, but really, let's be frank, nobody plays roguelikes for their compelling story, right? That's about it when it comes to the story. The gameplay in Rogue Legacy is where the game truly shines. The game is a simple side-scrolling roguelike. For those of you that are not familiar with the term roguelike, it is basically the essence of when you die, you restart the game. Now, you don't restart the game in the conventional sense of the game completely restarting. You restart by not having having to completely restart the level or restart the dungeon that you're in. So I personally love this genre, but many people hate it, and I can see why, because the game can be pretty frustrating and hard. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty simple. There are only a few keys you need to remember, and you catch on pretty quick. The controls are at first overwhelming, since it uses the arrow keys to move compared to WASD, which to a lot of PC gamers can be a problem, like myself, who has always used WASD. I found this a problem at first, but I got the hang of it. Also, if you didn't know this already, the game is incredibly difficult. It is possibly one of the most unfair games I've ever played. I personally put this as a pro. I like this. I like games that are unfair and really put a spin on it, but a lot of people could put it as a con since it is an incredibly difficult game. I like intensely hard challenges such as Super Meat Boy, so the difficulty of the game does not bother me. Instead, it motivates me to do better. The micromanagement there are two aspects of the game, the micromanagement and the actual dungeon crawling. The micromanagement portion is when you come back from the quest inside the dungeon, you will have acquired gold. You can spend this gold to upgrade your castle. These upgrades can help you by giving you more health, mana, damage, and even unlock new classes. And on the subject of classes, the game has a ton of them. A few include the Paladin, which is an all-around good class. He just does a lot of damage, and he's pretty beefy. The Mage, who is very good at using magic, surprise, surprise, and a few others like the Knave, who does a lot of critical strikes, the Miner, which will get you more money, and the Lich, who gains more health the more people he kills. This makes that every run inside the castle will be different, and you will have to execute with a different playstyle. Rogue Legacy does one thing unusual that is unconventional but still awesome. Rogue Legacy it makes that you get to choose from your heir which character you want to play. So, for instance, every character has like a different bonus, upside and downside. So, a pro and a con. If you're looking, you get three choices. So you get three heirs to pick from. So let's say you can have one that is really strong, but he has very low health. That's one of the classes. But let's look beyond the classes. So there's a few other perks as well. Like one of them won't be able to see. It'll be really blurry far away from him. Another one, it'll be blurry close to him. So it makes it every run is unique, and every run you've got to execute a different way. It's very, very cool, actually. Yeah, so basically, so there's a family tree, and you can look back on your family tree and see all the different ancestors that you had in the past, all the way from your beginning starting character. And believe me, you're going to die a lot in this game. If you're planning on getting this game, prepare to die, because this game is going to kill you. So each sibling has pros and cons, as I've already said, and also, like most roguelikes, the dungeon is randomly generated, so each run is even more different. You're not going into the same dungeon every time. The dungeon does change. So you might see one dungeon that's very easy and one dungeon that's very hard, and that's why before you start the game, there's three different people you can go see. The Armor Smith, where you can equip armor that you find inside the dungeon. The Enchantress, which you can enchant your armor that gives you bonuses. And then you can also see the Architect, which will lock a dungeon in, which makes it the dungeon will not change from time to time, but you will get a significantly less amount of gold. So if you see a dungeon that you really love, you can lock it in and go revisit the dungeon all the way until you've memorized it, and then you can just keep visiting it over and over and getting more and more gold. It's a good strategy, but I don't use it very often since I do like my gold. Overall, the gameplay is incredibly simple and appealing, and makes for an excellent roguelike experience for both the beginner and veteran roguelike fan. Rogue Legacy uses a clean, colorful, and retro-esque 16-bit art style. It is very appealing, and I think it looks great. It fits the game wonderfully and brings back memories of old titles that were designed like this. I got a lot of nostalgia seeing this, remembering games such as this remake of Super Mario Bros. 3 and a few games such as Contra and just old Super Nintendo titles that it just really brought that vibe back. And since it is an indie company that made it, it really does captivate that even more because most indie companies don't have enough money to make beautiful graphics or anything great. So it's a little bit of an alternative, but it's a great alternative. I think it even looks better than a lot of modern graphics, which a lot of people might disagree. Before I do my final verdict, I'm going to have to do a few other things first. I'm going to have to say a few other details. So the game is priced at $15 US and is on Steam and GOG.com. I have currently played 11 hours of the game, and I am not nearly done. I'm not even nearly done, guys. Like, this is a really long game. I did not mention all the features in Rogue Legacy, only the important ones. So there is a lot of stuff I didn't mention. And the game is jam-packed with Easter eggs and secrets to explore. So even when you're done the game, you haven't discovered even half of it, because there is a lot of stuff to discover in this game. Blueprints, spells, enchantments, just so much stuff. Final verdict for Rogue Legacy is, because of its impressive art style, tight controls and gameplay, but lacking a little bit in the story development, I give it a 9 out of 10. This is my personal review. This is kind of a biased opinion. I would give it an 8 out of 10 if I was doing a completely unbiased opinion. Now, I do really love roguelikes, so it's hard for me to give it something other than a 9 out of 10, since it is, to the core, the essence of a roguelike. So yeah, again, I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 since the story is kind of cliche and not that great, and but it does make up for it in its visuals and mechanics. And besides, it's $15, guys. Come on, how could you go wrong? So yeah, this was my review of Rogue Legacy. If you did enjoy this, remember to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. That is much appreciated. And I got a few other games here on Steam that I haven't played very much of, so I could also do, I guess, a review of, I don't know, any other game that you guys want. So yeah, just leave it in the comments below if you guys want me to review something, and you could see it on the channel sometime. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.